Test, test, test. One, two, three. I think we're doing good. How's the audio video there, Trooper? Good to see you. They're down in Gulf of Mexico, man. That's just crazy that you're down there right now. I'm glad it's not me. I'll be honest with you. I'm glad someone can do that kind of work. Not easy. There have been some interesting things happen down there, so I hope you're doing well. Hey, Steven, good to see you, man. Hope you got a chance to check out the Ball Blair review from last week. That was really, really fun and really, really good. I think you were there for that one. Hey, Mom, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Did you get all your papers graded? Hope so. We're going to take a look at a couple, one familiar and one brand new. Well, not brand new, but new enough to, I haven't tried it before, so it should be interesting. Trooper says he wished he could say he was drinking tonight over and Diet Coke and the barbecue they had on the rig. Wow. Yeah, Diet Coke and barbecues doesn't sound that intriguing when it comes to Laphroaig 15, which is one thing we're going to have, and also the Bunnahabhain Toiteach A Dha, which is Gaelic for smoky, number 2. The Bunnahabhain Toiteach is one I've had in the past. It is good. Not I didn't put it in the excellent category only because it was just very peat forward. It didn't really have any other influences. To me, it was good. It was just a little one-dimensional. Hopefully, this one will give it a little more roundness, maybe a little, even maybe more refinement. You never know. It's not an age statement, but it is a second release, so we'll see. Let's see what Trooper said here. Ouch, Laphroaig 15. That's a low blow. Ouch, my liver. Yeah, it's a classic too. You don't see it anymore hardly. It's a tough one to find, and hopefully we'll bring it back. I've got my shrine to Laphroaig back there. The 18 cents proudly, as with the Lore and the Aquamore, which are my top Laphroaig favorites out of all, minus the Carriages Specialized series. Those are the core ones that I like the most. The 15 sits with it nicely. I just can't find a bottle of it of my own. I've had several of samples of salsa of the Laphroaig 15, but never had my own bottle. That's a goal. Funny thing was, we went to this Laphroaig gathering, my wife and I. We went, and they had like the selling. We went on a sailboat, and they like hid some Bowmore Tempest 6, also known as the Dorismore 3, under the water, where they had it like waiting for them. So they pulled it up. He poured us a glass. We had the Lore. We had the Carriages and stuff. That year was the Fino. It was last year. And looking forward to the new Carriages release this year, by the way. But it was really, really, really fun. And for the tasting at the end, he brought a special bottle, and it ended up being the Laphroaig 15. He found like on the border between Pennsylvania and Maryland. I'm like, I wish I could get that lucky and find a bottle of that. Hey, Jason, good to see you, man. Good to see you, Dave. Hope you're doing well as well. I hope you don't have any papers to grade. Probably not. Looks like Trooper's asking about the Lore. It is the best core bottling left of Laphroaig offerings. I mean, next to the 10 cask strength, I like the quarter cask a lot. I wasn't too big on the triple wood. It was a little woody for me. I know the new Carriages is I think a cask strength version of the quarter cask. I'll still try it. It might actually be better if it has more ABV, but it probably will still have that really very overly woody, oaky kind of note, going on. So it's one of those. But the Lore is a great balance of sherry, peat. It's great. I compare it to the Lagavulin Distillers Edition. The Lagavulin Distillers Edition is a little sweeter because it's PX sherry. The Lore, I believe, is just going by palate. I believe is Oloroso, if I had to take a guess. It's not as sweet. It's a little more savory. But I think it's got a lot of good nut quality, like a lot of cashews, pecans, that kind of thing with the Lore. So I'm down with it. Hey, Gihahara. Is speaking Irish. Looks like they're. Yep. Only thing I remember was Trona Mahagat was I think good afternoon or something like that in when I was in Dublin at least. To the ones that could speak Gaelic, it's very rare. You have to go to like Limerick or Cork or the west side of Galway to really get a lot of good Irish speakers, Gaelic speakers anymore. Probably the same with Scotland. You have to go to Islay or one of the outlying regions to hear a lot of the Gaelic um, tongue being used. It's a tough language to learn. I've been picking it up just by just reading Scotch bottles and stuff. Henry, let's see, two want to pick up a bottle when I get off from offshore. Yeah, you got two bottles of the 15. Wow, lucky you. Is it the typical white one you see, the 200th anniversary, or is it the old? There's like a green tube they used to use for the old 15. I've never seen or heard of that one. I've only had the new 200th anniversary, the original, I'm sorry, the regular 15, not the old green tube one. So interesting to see the. I've got the white of the 18. The old green one is elusive. I know a couple people that have it, but it's a tough find. Kakan's looking forward to the Toiteach A Dha. Yeah. I was wondering if that D was silenced because usually they silence the H. I wasn't sure if that D was also silent, but you answered my question. So it's the Toiteach A Dha. Okay, that makes sense then. Christopher's asking if I prefer the Dark Cove or the Lore. Well, it's funny you ask that. I really, really prefer the Dark Cove only because of the savoriness and the sweetness combined. Laura is more of a savory sherry. I think the Dark Cove uses at least a little bit of PX. Probably has, if it's just Oloroso, it's a very sweet Oloroso that's reminiscent of the PX. The Ardbeg Dark Cove is like a black forest cake with a filet mignon on the side. I mean, it's just perfection. The Distiller's Edition definitely is probably one of the best top 3 drams I've ever had. The Ardbeg 20 something, the 23 I think it was, maybe the McKellen Final 21. Those are the only drams I could think of that would even match it. Maybe the Brooklotti Black Arts 4. Those are like really, really supremely done, nice, aged, put together well. Holland Park the Dark is really up there too. I can keep going, but they're all in the same caliber. I just prefer Ardbeg just very slightly. Don't tell anybody at Laphroaig; they probably hate me for saying that. But Ardbeg is like my number one. Laphroaig is right underneath it, almost number one, just not quite there. And Lagavulin is probably a third favorite next to Kilholman, I'm thinking. But I love Springbank and Bunnahabhain too. It's hard to pick these guys. I can sit there and have different ones from different distilleries of any of those, and they match up pretty well. You won't be unhappy with anything behind me there. I think is a good buy, really. Minus maybe the Select of the Laphroaig I wasn't too keen on. Everything else is pretty solid, I'd say. I can't see any weak links, we'll put it that way. Ooh, now I was trying to decide if I wanted to start with Laphroaig 15 or if I wanted to start with the Bunnahabhain Toiteach A Dha. So we're going to look at the 15 is a 43% ex-bourbon 15-year-old. Okay, so we're not dealing with any sherry, and it seems pretty straightforward. The Bunnahabhain Toiteach A Dha is going to be the 46.3, a little bit higher ABV. It's both ex-bourbon and ex-sherry. That is a twist because if I'm not mistaken, the original Toiteach was just straightforward ex-bourbon, quite basic, peaty, nice dram, reminiscent to me of the Lagavulin 8. That's what it reminded me of. Hopefully this one's a bit different. And it does have a bit of a darker color hence that probably that sherry influence. I believe it's not chill filtered and it's not colored, but I might have to do some extra quick checking just to make sure. Toiteach is smoky and Gaelic, by the way, if you didn't already know. And like I said, the AHA is the #2, being the second release. I don't see anything extra wise for information. With that said, I think because of the delicateness of the 15, it's a little more refined. I think we'll start with that and end with the newer one. Lordy, lordy. Jason, there's easily a dozen distilleries in my top 5. Yeah, that's the tough thing, man. It's hard. There's so many good ones, thankfully. And I'll get to that in a little bit of my next part of my journey. I'm going to try to ask you guys some advice of where I should go, because I'm kind of at a crossroads and I'm trying to decide the best venture to take. Moose wondered if I just cussed at him. It's just the name of the scotch, man. All right, let's get into this Laphroaig 15 before people start jumping ship. See, the Laphroaig 15 is there's nothing like it. If you look at their spectrum, even going from the select, the 10s, both cast strength, regular, triple, quarter, Lord, 18, Uncle Mort, QA cast, PX cast, the Carriages, the 15 is nothing like any of them. It stands apart on its own, and that's what kills me about Laphroaig not, being able to do it anymore. Because what's interesting about it is it's got a ton of smoke and peat, but it also has a ton of fruit. And fruit is not really something that Laphroaig plays with. I mean, you might get some sweetness from PX or Oloroso sherry. The Madeira cask does have a fruitiness to it. This is probably, if I had to pick something else, or maybe, I'd say the Carriages Madeira is maybe slightly similar. The thing that the 15 also has on the nose is some really nice root beer, sassafras, thicker molasses kind of notes on the nose. And you can almost smell the pepper. It's got this like peppery spice, not black, but white peppery spice on the nose even. Has a brightness to it. Oh, it is fantastic. I gotta find a bottle of this. I don't care what I have to do. I will drive to freaking Cecil County, which is the top part of Maryland, next to like Philadelphia. I'll go to Garrett County, all the way in the mountains next to West Virginia. I'll go down to Virginia. I don't care where I have to go. 15 is worth it to have on that shrine. It's sacrilegious. I don't have a bottle of the 15 to go with all of these. If you're listening to Laphroaig, damn, I'd like to have a bottle. Probably not, but I'm a big fan, so. You can smell this perfect balance of sweetness and savory notes together, and it's at that sweet spot. It's not too old, so the peat starts fading. Like after 18, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the older Laphroaigs, only because I think I've never had my own bottle, which is hard because they're so damn expensive. I've only had them like in tastings and stuff. B, the peat is so light and delicate when you get above an 18-year-old that it's really hard to appreciate, I think, as much. But maybe someday I can get my hands on like a 25 or a 27 or a 32 and really try to get into it. Maybe there's something I'm missing that, I'm not getting because I don't have that time to sit down with it, and it's drives me crazy. Uh-oh. He's talking about playing guitar. Yeah, I might have to bucket, but you've got a bunch of guitars back here. I might have to bust one out and do a jam. Bacon, oh, and candy bacon, not just bacon, but the smoke is there, but it's a really smoked but heavily candied bacon. 43%. Doesn't need a thing. You get that really nice charred, smoky flavor from the get-go. Darkness goes into like a really nice, almost sweet cola-like flavor, like a Coca-Cola. Has that root beer sassafras element going on with it as well. Not overly drying, thankfully. The mouth coat might be a little thinner than I remember. Not sure. This isn't quite oxidized or anything because I did pour it, but I didn't leave it set out too long. About 15 minutes. Really good white pepper. I got on the nose. I'm also getting on the palate now. Really brightens up the end. The finish is better with a bigger mouth gulp. Really. I mean, being 43%, you don't have to be, timid having a nice big sip of it. Oh, so well done. Finishes longer now, thankfully. Not dry at all. I love that aspect of it. It's a solid, easy. I mean, with the age, with it being, they could color this a little bit. They don't go overboard with the E150, as you can tell. They 43% chill filtering. I mean, I don't think it would be, but 43 is right at that threshold, man. That's a tough one. I'm just looking to see if I can see if anyone knows for a definite yes or no if it's chill filtered. I would be curious. It'd be a lot easier to know if I had the bottle to go by. But I have had a lot of samples of this, and thankfully I can say it is very consistent. I've never had a bad version of it out of the 4 or 5 samples over the last few years. Never had a bad one. It's always got the same profile. Some people got grapefruit on the profile. I didn't get that on the palate. I didn't get any bitterness. I got more of a really nice strawberry mixed with raspberry profile with the peat. It feels even a lot older than their 10. It's miles apart, even though it's only 5 years. It's amazing, and it's just such a shame that yeah, it's Tuffy Mom. It's such a shame that it's just not readily available anymore. It's one of those that if you found in the shop though, your eyes light up. They get that big, and you're like, I'll take that right now. I don't care how dusty it is. I don't care if it's got spiders crawling all over it. I don't care what the state of the bottle is. If it's the cans all smashed up, I gotta have it. So there you go. Wish you could had a Star Trek replicator to just make more and more of this stuff. It's a medium mouth coat. At first it felt a little thin, but I think just with a couple more sips, you have to take a little bit of a bigger sip because it's lower ABV, but it still gets the job done. Would it be better at 46%? Hell yeah. 48, even better. And that's really the only thing I'm going to really, I think, nick it for. It's not really a nick. It's more of just an observation that might be, yeah, Star Trek replicator. I would make 50,000 million gallons of this stuff. It'd be a Googleplex of scotch of the Laphroaig 50. It'd be a boatload, an aircraft carrier full of it. Doesn't get much better. 18 is funny because if you put the 15 Laphroaig against the 18 edges it out, but it's not like night and day difference. These are both high caliber, high quality really close. I mean, if the 18 is like, if the 18 is up here, the 15 is like right underneath. Barely a big difference. Taste profile is different, but quality is really similar. I would give the Laphroaig 18 a 4.75, easy all day long. This one is almost there, but the thing about the 18, I like the 15 better on versus the 18 is the power of the taste. The smokiness is a little thicker on the 15. It's still there on the 18, but not as prevalent. The refinement's missing on the 15 minus the 18 as far as complexity and other, other notes. The 18 is kind of like if you took the 15 and the lower and mixed it together a little bit, and aged it longer. I'd say that's why I like the 18 so much. So no, I only do 0.25 increments, man. Sorry, Mom. 0.25 is about as slivery as I can get. If slivery is a word. Finite? Is that the word? Intricate? Pick? Detailed pick? I don't know how to. What is the word I'm looking for? Really nice dark chocolate. Actually, no, this is more milk chocolate. It's a milk chocolate finish too. It's got a smoothness with some vanilla notes on the finish too. Slivery, yeah, it's very slivery, granular. There you go, Jason. There you go. Either way. Mm. If you can find a bottle of Laphroaig 15, you got to save one for Telex. Oh, I would love to have one. I'll even make a place for it. I'll put a little gap, and that way it's ready, and hopefully I just get it. It's a shame. Thank God I didn't pour very much of that. That was like a 1 ounce pour because I wanted to savor every little bit. And thank you, Scott, for the salsa. Scott Lee's the one that helped out with the Bunnahabhain Toiteach A Dha. I'm sorry, A Dha. And in our trading group where we swap salsa back and forth, and excellent choices. I can never get enough of that Laphroaig 15. 4.5 every day of the week, no questions asked. The only thing I would do, I guess, honestly, is maybe age it a little more. I mean, that's all you can really do. It's perfect juice. It really is. Other than that, all right. Let me get a little palate cleanser and see what you guys are drinking. What are you having, Mom? You got to be having something. Jason, Gawkin. Trooper, Christopher, yeah, let me know what you guys are sipping on. I'm curious. And if you had the, what you thought of the 15, if you've had it, if you've tried the new Bunnahabhain Toiteach A Dha that I'm about to try. If you've tried the original Bunnahabhain Toiteach or not, that would be interesting. Ooh, Jason's gonna have an Enoch 12. That's one I have not had before, but I'd be interested to see what it's like. I love the Laphroaig Cast Strength 10. Christopher, that's a great choice. Mom was always drinking her lemon left. That stuff will, I think that's addicting. I think you've been drinking that for over 20 years or so, if I remember correctly. Oh my goodness. Now, see, lemon is not a flavor I really even get into, even in Scotch. If it's got something else to go with it, it's fine. But lemon by itself, I think that's why I didn't like the Bunnahabhain Toiteach, the original, that much, because it was lemony, it was peaty, it was kind of young, and that was about it. And that's kind of what I got from the Lagavulin 8. It's just, 30 years, my fault. There you go. Jason says, it's halfway between an Old Pulteney 12 and a Clynelish 14. That sounds good. I'm not huge on Old Pulteney 12 because I found it to be a little one-dimensional, but I love the Kleinlich 14 because not only is it complex, it's got a heavy mouth coat. So it's kind of a in between. There is it's like Old Pulteney 12 is way over here, Kleinlich 14 is way over here. So that's a huge, to me, that's a huge spectrum, but you like it, so that's all that counts. There you go. Calkins, oh yeah, he's got the Glenmorangie, the Chardonnay cask finish, a floral and spicy finish. It sounds interesting. Glenmorangie is one of those. They're one of those distilleries that's kind of tough for me to get into for some reason. I've even had their 25 and their 18. The 15 sherry I thought was good, especially for the price because their prices are pretty low, which is nice for Glenmorangie. But the when you get to the 18 and the 25, I'm just like, was expecting more from the age being more complex, but it just didn't do it for me as much. But cask finishes are always fun to try, so I'd be happy to try that out. Mom was talking about the lemon left being peaty. I'm not sure if there's any peat in that, but maybe. Fresh fruit, vanilla mineral profile. Okay, yeah. I definitely get the fruit in both. Vanilla, Old Pulteney 12, I got the Kleinlich. I have to try that. I mean, the Kleinlich to me is such a more complex dram than the Old Pulteney 12 that there's a bunch of notes I got in the Kleinlich 14. It kind of reminds me of the Inchgauer 14 if you ever had that one. It's very similar in profile because it's thick, heavy, but complex, has a ton of notes you can get out of it, has a slight mineral note, but it's not off-putting, it's not bitter. Not even metallic. It's just it does have a slight mineralness to it, but it's more dense than okay, and less waxy. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, the 15 sherry is a really good pick, I think, on the Glenmorangie. If you're gonna go with the Glenmorangie, but I had to try that Chardonnay sometime. I agree. The Kleinlich is a step above the OP and the SF had against Gower also good. It was a very dry Riesling to me. Yeah, it's that's what I like about. I mean, I don't like the Rieslings when they get really sweet because I've had like some super sweet ones before. I'm kind of like, no, not for me. But the dryness and the complexity of a Riesling, I think, is a good deal. This is darker, but hopefully because of the sherry. Let's take a look and see if we're non-chill filtered, and I believe we are. Let me see something. Pull up a couple other extra notes here just to see if I can pull a definite. I don't think they talk about it, unfortunately. Let me see one more area to see if anyone else has had the bottle and seen any more detail. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty damn sure that the original Toiteach was not chill filtered and not colored. So I'm really thinking they probably would do the same thing with this. That the darkness is just from the ex-sherry casks, if I had to take a guess. 46.3. This is more in my wheelhouse as far as ABV, so that's a good sign. Bunnahabhain does both peated and non-peated offerings. Bunnahabhain is great and unpeated. 12 and 18 are some of my favorites. If you've never had a 12 or 18, get your ass out there and get one. Either one is outstanding. For the price, the 12 is unbelievable. The 18 is expensive, but it is really good and well done. So you can't go wrong with those. The Calvinoch I actually enjoyed more than a Toiteach for a peated offering, because the Calvinoch had a nice orange dreamsicleness to it. The only thing bad about that dram was the finish was almost non-existent. It was very dry and it went really fast, very short finish. But the overall noise, the nose and the palate combined, I thought were really good. So With that said, I'm eager to try this out. Um, it runs fairly fast, so it probably just has a medium mouth coat. It's probably not very thick or waxy like a Kleinleach we were talking about. Kleinleach is definitely one of the more heavier, thicker, oily drams, but I like that kind of thing. That's my deal. Um, I think it's really good for a base if you're going to do your own blends too. This one, mm, the nose is smokier than the original Toiteach. I can detect that already, which to me is a good sign. I love the fact that they took something decent and they made it even better with just an extra year, probably. The original was young. If I had to take a guess, it's probably 4 or 5 years old. This one, I think, is a 6 or 7. If I had to, just gamble off a guess off the nose. Oh, wow, and really nice fruit. Very much missing from the original Choiche. Kind of funny because it has a space sidey kind of feel to it. A brightness almost like a bobblare. Very intensively fruity cherries slash oranges, um, pineapple even, but not overly tropical. Just some citrusy aspects, acidic aspects to it. I can kind of get a feel for. Hmm. And smoke is still there. At first, nose, it was in my face heavy, and now it's already gone kind of like it's like a poofed, and then it kind of dissipates a bit. Brininess, a lot of saltiness, maritime stuff going on, and that kind of reminds me of like a Talisker a little bit. These medium fruits are a lot better than the original Choi Chick was lemony, very light pear slash white grape kind of thing. This is more of a strawberry, raspberry, orange. Hmm. Some spice maybe. Have to get in there and get a taste. Mm. Wow, that's so much better. Night and day difference to me than that original Choi Check. I'll be honest, I want to say I was disappointed. I just wasn't wowed with that original Choi Check. It was a solid, good foundation, a lot like the Lagavulin 8. Like to me, if you sit down with Lagavulin and you try the 8, it's a good starter. It's a breakfast dram. It's got a lot of breakfasty, toasty, burnt toast qualities, peat, that kind of thing going on. But that's really all that there really is. Then you step up to the 9, that new Game of Thrones series that they released. That is a night and day difference. Great whiskey. 1 year is not the only difference between what they're using for the 8 and what they're using for the 9. It's like the sherry makes a big difference with profile. To me, it makes it a lot better. Same with the 16. You're adding double the years practically, and you have some sherry notes riding with it. And if you really want to get fancy, then you go to the Distiller's Edition. You've got your PX and your peat. It's very sweet though, so if you don't want a sweet dram, stay away from the PX. But I like it a lot. This is the sherry is definitely a more of a savory type. I think it's Oloroso. It doesn't really talk about the sherry cask used here. It says ex bourbon regular sherry, so I'm thinking that it's ex bourbon, and then it's not first fill. They would claim that all day, but it's probably refill sherry, and I'm pretty sure we're talking about Oloroso type in this one. Okay, I see what the difference. Why this is so much better. Um, this takes the Bunnahabhain Moine. I think it's how you pronounce that. I could be butchering it. Gawkin, if you're still there, how do you pronounce the Moine? I think it's, excuse me, I think it's just Moine. I think that translates to trying to remember. It wasn't. It might have just been peat. It's been a long time since I remember the word. It was something basic. They take the base is the Bunnahabhain whiskey and matures it in an ex-bourbon and sherry casks in their coastal warehouses on Bunnahabhain Bay. So, huh. Monya. Okay, that makes sense because it's got that the E, but it's not. I'm so used to doing French, so I'm used to that being the A. So it's the Monya makes more sense with Gaelic. So appreciate it, Jason, on that one. Top log of Olin, that's a funny question. So far, I've had the 8. I do like it. I gave it like I think a 4 out of 5. Love the 12 cast strength peated. It's very powerful. It's a 4.5 to 4.75 whiskey all day. Great. Wouldn't change really anything about it. Maybe a little more age, but hey, that's what the 16 is for. That's another 4.5, 4.75 whiskey. Distiller's Edition, 4.75 depends on my mood. I mean, that's a very, very well done. Wouldn't change anything. I like the sweetness in it. Some people are kind of, you know, put off by the sweetness of it. I do have a bottle of the Lagavulin 18 Fischel unopened. I have not touched it yet. I've saved it for a special occasion. I have a feeling that's going to be the sweet spot perfect one because it's 18 years. I think it's cast strength, if I'm not mistaken. It's a higher ABV at least 50%, I'm pretty sure. And I think it's going to be right in still sherry influence, but not overly like one note anything. I think it's going to be a nice, well-rounded, refined offering. I'm itching to open it, but I'm being patient. That might be a good, huge celebration type of deal, like I did with when I first got my first Ardbog, the first NAS that was tough to find like an auction buy. That was a special occasion. It'll probably be something like that. I think that's going to be my favorite, but so far it's a tie between the Distiller's Edition and the 16, believe it or not. I do love the 12 cast strength, but it's got like even cotton candy type of vibes in it. It's got a really, really high level of white pepper in it too. So you really have to be in the mood for that. But the go-to all time, I think it's the 16. It's just like the best dram, and that's why it sells so well. And I think it's why it's a little overpriced per se. Sometimes I see it as high as $90 to $100. I like to see it about 75 to 80, preferably. But it's a 16-year-old. It's hard to say no because there are other distilleries, Dalmore, that prices their 15s and 18s, especially above $200, which is absolutely asinine nuts. So there you go. I'm sure I'm going to get a thumbs down for that, but I just call it like I see it. If you like it, that's great. If you don't, that's great too. It's just you cannot tell me that the Dalmore 18 is worth $215 when the 15 sells for under $100, and it's only a 3 years difference. And I'm looking at you, McKellen, as well, Jason. That's a good other comparison because McKellen and Dalmore are a lot alike when it comes to that. I'm trying to think if anybody else is really stretching it when it comes to the pricing. Glendronachs in Maryland are kind of rough. Thankfully, if you go anywhere outside of Maryland, Glendronachs are actually priced pretty reasonably, especially if you get them from Europe. But yeah, I'm just looking around. I think Highland Park is even priced pretty well. For their 18, you get it for like 130, I think, 140. Their 15 goes for 110. How can you bitch about that, really? I mean, honestly. Anybody else have a price concern where they run into some of these prices and they're like, what the hell was that? When is Gilly for Pete? Yeah, that's what I thought, if I remember correctly. Anyway, let's get back to the sippage here, because this is unbelievably a lot better than the first one. I'm surprised at how different it is. Yeah, you got an 18 from here for 75. Isn't that crazy? And it's 160 in the US. Same thing here. Actually, it's $213 for the 18 Allardyce, believe it or not, in Maryland. And it's two. Hold on, let me see. Actually, I think that's right. I have seen it as high as 213 in Maryland for that. I've also seen it as low at another place in Maryland, but it's not very low, really. Let me see. Let me get my Glendronach list out here. 189.99, so 190 we'll say, and their 21 is 239. That is crazy. When you can get it for under 200 if you get it overseas. The shipping / laws, the craziness has got to stop. We all got to write to our congressman and be like, what the hell's wrong with you guys? I've heard that they're trying to get lax up on these shipping laws. And I hope they get to it soon, because this kind of, that kind of stuff drives me crazy when you're just trying to get a nice sip of something. Thankfully, things like the Glendronach 8, the Highland, is so good and nicely priced and easily buy. That's the nice stuff. 140 in PA. See the difference? I mean, that's like $100 difference. It is crazy how much of a change shift that is. I don't get why. Why is it? I mean, I know Old Pulteney doesn't sell well in Maryland, but does Glendronach sell that much more? Does it sell that well in Maryland where it can justify getting a price like that? I guess they can get away with it, so they do it. But I'm just like, wow, these people are crazy. I don't know. Love the nose on this. It seems a little older than the original as well, which is a big plus to me. And that sherry is so very well done. A lot more smoky. Very well, very pick it up a lot more on the palate as well. Wow. Like the last one had a lot of cola notes. This has a lot more of a chocolate, mocha, coffee, ground beans. Oh my. Not too dry. That was a nice sip. Mouthfeel is pretty good too. Medium. Not bad. Not thin as a Glengoyne. So I was watching my Warriors beat the Blazers again. Like Richie Z, good to see him, man. Glad you could stop by at least. This is mouth-watering. This has got a little hint of ham. Canadian bacon ham. Kind of a nice, sweet, savory, maltiness, whoppers. It's got a really good finish too. If this could be aged just a couple more years, it could hang, believe it or not, with an Ardbeg Uigeadail, I think. It just doesn't have that oomph quite yet. It's like a very young version of an Ardbeg Uigeadail, I'd say. The smoke level is about the same, I think. I do have something to compare it to. Let me have a little pour. I got lucky recently where I had a buddy of mine. I talked about it on the last show, I believe, where I found a guy at the liquor store that he wasn't selling them. I looked to see what he had, and we were just got to chatting, and he's like, "Yeah, I got a bottle of Supernova, Blanzda, and a 2008 bottle of the Uigeadail." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Wow, that's quite a spread there." He's like, "I'm interested in selling it." I'm like, "Wow, okay." And I thought he was going to say $500-600 easy, because the Supernova, and this was the original. I didn't even know this at the time. It was the original Stellar release, the first one, high ABV, like 58.9. And I mean, this just a 2008 bottle of Uigeadail, an early one, is Unbelievable. Laphroaig 15 is no longer available readily, Richie. So you have to do some digging, find an old bottle on a shelf like a Laphroaig 18 as well. The 18 and 15 were replaced by the Lore. The 15 is a one of a kind, though. You'll never taste anything like it. There's no other carriages even. The only thing remotely close would be like the Madeira cask, only because it's got a little bit of that fruit sweetness to it. But the cola aspects of it, it's a lot like a Glen Scotia 15. If you've ever had a Glen Scotia 15, it's a lot like a Laphroaig 15. They're very similar. They're both outstanding. They both could draw a higher price than they initially were calling for when they were first released. Both well done, and I would give a 4.5 pretty much to either one all day long. But let's have a little comparison with the Ugadal. It is an older Ugadal, but it is, still the same kind of juice. I did notice with the age, the older bottling maybe being a little bit better, but it's not like a night and day difference, type of thing. Okay, so here's the Ugadal. I want to make sure I keep it where I can keep track of which one's which. The Ugadal is a little slightly darker in color, but I think it's just because of the age being with the sherry a little bit slightly longer, but it's very similar, as you can see. It's not like a night and day difference. It's just slightly darker. So let's go with this taste first and then go back to the Toiteach A Dha and see if I'm so happy that the Bunnahabhain is going that direction. It's such a change from the original Toiteach. It's unbelievable how different it is. That's nice. I can't go wrong with the Ardbeg Ugadal. One of the best drams of all time. It probably is the best core dram there is on the market. If I had to take a look at my spread across, and I have a lot more stuff going that way you can't see, of any core offering of any distillery, I have to say, next to the Laphroaig Lore, they're really close. The Ugadal just barely edges it out. Barely. It's like squeaks by. It's like a millimeter better. Uh-oh. Someone's breaking out little Debbie's and moon pies. Gotta close my ears. I get diabetes. I haven't had a little Debbie in ages, so I'm proud of myself, actually. All I eat now are chips. Got my classic Lay's, no frills potato chips. They're a little high in calories. Wow, 160? That's crazy. But I'm having one bag, so it won't kill me. What you guys sipping on, by the way? Just curious. Very similar noses. I could take a little more youth in the Bunnahabhain, but man, they're close. Both smoky as hell, both nice sherry notes, both peaty. But let's see. The thing that makes the Ugadal such a perfect sip, I think, is the 54.2 ABV. It's hard to match that. Non-chill filtered. The coloring's probably slight if they use any, probably to balance out the output. Of course, we want it natural if we can get it that way, but you know how it goes. It's hard to. But I'm just glad you got non-chill filtering, got 54.2%. I know that there are, they take their 10 and they do a little bit of young, a little bit of older with it. It probably has some 12 to 15-year-old stuff in it too. It just edges it out a little bit here, but Let's have another sip. Yeah. It doesn't have quite the muscle, but the foundation, the starting flavor is there. It just needs that ABV, and I think a year or two, and it will be able to hang with an Ugadal even maybe someday. I think Bunnahabhain's on their way to having something comparable. If the Toiteach series keeps improving like it has just within 2 years, it's amazing the difference. The Toiteach 1, yeah, it's like Lagavulin 8. The Toiteach 2, also known as Toiteach A Dha, is an Ugadal type of dram without the steroids. The Ugadal is like the Bunnahabhain Toiteach A Dha on steroids. It's got more power, more roundness, better dram. But this is up there. Now, this guy I probably would rate, 4.5 and 4.75 because it is hard to beat. I'd take the coloring out. I'd age it a little more. Then it'd be a 5-star dram. With this, needs more aging, needs more ABV, but 46.3, I can't bitch too much about it. It's at least a 4.25. I'm thinking. Let me see what I gave the original Toiteach. I'm just curious because I know I wasn't like overly impressed with it. That'll help me kind of gauge what this probably should be. 1 second. Now I've got to type. Yay. Original Toiteach. Did not rate very well across the board. Excuse me. A lot of like the average was like a 3.75. I think when you take literally hundreds of reviews and average it out, it looks like it's about a 3.75. I gave it. It looks like, let me see, previous taste, a 3.5. Yeah. With that one, I said it was a pleasant surprise. The original, I enjoyed the finish on it more than the Cabernet, even though it's $20 cheaper. The nose will remind you of a Kalila 12 from the start. It was peatier than the Cabernet as well. Maritime notes with sea spray along with lemon curd, dark chocolate, vanilla. Not much fruit other than lemon on the palate, but brings more smoke, vanilla, slight TCP. Cream, barley, icing, cake batter, malt flavors, medium finish, heavy mouth coat, a breakfast dram similar to the Lagavulin 8, like I said. That's what that one was, so I gave it a 3.5. This one, I think, is a big step up. I think they have got it to a 4. I think this is a 4. Uh-oh. Christopher Davis says, you forgot about the Ardbeg Dark Cove. What do you mean I forgot about it? That is a great whiskey, but I'm just comparing the Bunnahabhain Toiteach original to the Bunnahabhain Toiteach number 2, and the only thing I could think of that this would compare to closely is the Ugadal. The Dark Cove was not a core release, so I'm not counting that as I'm talking the best core regular. You could pick up a bottle at any liquor store. Bottle is the Ardbeg Ugadal. I think is the best one, pretty much bar none of any core next to the lore. Hey, Chris Beaton, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate it. And what you drinking there, Chris? I'm just curious. Just finishing out the Bunnahabhain A Dha. It's very, very, very good. I'm gonna have to pour me a little more here. It looks like 'cause I'm about out of it. Wow. It's hard to put any water on either of these because, especially Laphroaig 15, I did it before. I didn't really get anything much different out of it. Let me see if I can find that bottle of the Toiteach. Here we go. And Lee, thank you so much. Lee was gracious enough to supply salsa for this one. I remember you saying that it was different, but I didn't know how much better it was. This is a hell of a lot better than the original. Night and day difference, man. Unbelievably good. Just come a bottle of 2007 Rockside Farm Island Barley. Wow, that sounds good. Rockside Farm. What distillery is that? Rockside. That sounds familiar. I should know. It sounds like Brooklady if I had to take a guess. Is it Brooklady or Rockside? Where's that? Kilhoman. No, Kilhoman's beer, I think. No, I get them all mixed up. There's so many little farms and little things that they use. I know they both use their own barley. I'm pretty sure. Springbank as well, but it's not Rockside. Oh, Brooklady. Yeah, I had a feeling that just going off memory that it was it had to have been something like that. That's perfect. Awesome. I'm glad I still have the knack for name that distillery. I am so happy on one hand. Now the other hand, it makes me kind of sad because the sorry, I got Brooklady on the mind. The Bunnahabhain Toiteach, the first one was tough to find. I knew of a plus, I knew of a couple places that I can get the Toiteach, so it wasn't a huge deal. I have yet to see the Aha, the newer one, available in the United States. Does anyone else have the Toiteach Aha? Just curious if any of you've had it before. Tough find. I have a feeling this is going to be. I wonder if it's readily available in the United States. Let me see if there's any notes outside of it being. I mean, there's 16 tastes on the site that I'm seeing, so it's got to be halfway available, you would think. But I don't know where these people are located. A lot of them could be in Europe or some other part of the world, even Taiwan, for all I know. So it's kind of a tough one when they don't say where they're from. But thankfully you can order a lot of salsa, so there's always that possibility. Oh my, nice straw, maritime beachside fire. You get that a lot from the youth of it. That's something that just really sticks out with a lot of these younger whiskeys. Have that campfire power from the get-go. Yeah, it's like if you took the Ardbeg Uigeadail, but yet maybe a little younger, maybe put some Talisker-esque type of features to it's got the little white and black pepper in it. Not overly so. It's just on the side. I'm just feeling the finish now. It's damn good. I'm definitely going to stick with at least a 4. I'm debating on whether to go to 4.25 or not. Let's go back to the. Let's have a little bit of water and go back to the Uigeadail and see how much better it feels. So praise to Bunnahabhain. Kowtow to Bunnahabhain. I'm very impressed so far. I can't wait to see where they go with this, even in 1 year. I mean, from 1 year difference from the first one, if they keep exponentially growing with quality, they could have their hands on a real gem in a matter of a couple of years, really. Being at a 10-year-old even, I'm thinking it might be excellent. Chris, is the only Ardbeg I've had is the Grooves. A friend sent me a sample. It was really good. Wow, the only Ardbeg you've ever tried is the Grooves? Seriously? Wow. Do you remember if it was the limited release? Being this one back here. Was it like this one, or was it the committee release, which is the really hard to find higher ABV one? Both of them are excellent. I have the funny thing is I have an unopened bottle of the Grooves back there. That one I just showed you is unopened. So I I've had it, but I've not opened my own bottle of it, so that's gonna be its own review. So if you still have some, save it, and hopefully we can have it together at some point. If you don't have any more, it's still readily available. You can find it. It's not overly expensive. You can find it usually for about $100 or so, and I mean, comparatively to other great whiskeys that are that caliber, that high ABV. I think it's a 40. What are they doing in the grooves now? 48, 40 something. Let me see. It's probably at least 46. I would hope. Our big grooves. Yeah, I love the charred aspects of that taste. It's 46%. Yeah, heavily charred red wine casks. It's awesome. I do like that one. I liked it a hell of a lot better than the new drum. The new drum was kind of it's okay. I just have to be in the mood for that type of dram. The grooves and Kelpie, Dark Cove, those were better in my opinion. The drum's not a letdown, really. It's just not the same type of whiskey at all. I know it's that rum cask makes a difference, but I don't know. If I had to pick between that and like a Balvenie Caribbean cask, it's not a hell of a lot more different to me. I just didn't really get a whole lot more out of the drum than the other one. Yeah, 46 is the one I'm thinking of too. Yeah, I've got an open bottle back there. I cleaned out the committee release. I did have that and loved it. But the limited release is still really good, and I'll have to pop that out and do a review of that one soon. That's on the agenda for sure. I can't get over the maritime notes in this Aha. It's like I'd say it's got a lot of Talisker influence. It's influenced a lot by Talisker, I should say. Not a bad thing at all. The funny thing is, I warmed up with the Talisker 57 degrees north earlier. Night, Mom. Glad you stopped by. Hope you had fun. I'll save what I have left. Oh, okay, cool, Chris. That would be a good deal because it's always fun to have it at the same time, see if you get the same kind of thing or something completely different. You never know. Yeah, this is really good. Reminiscent a bit of the yeah. It's got that smoky, nice, sweet quality of the Ugadal. Easy to drink too. Thankfully, easier to drink than the Ugadal because that'll get you in trouble if you're drinking the Ugadal quickly. Put it that way. Let's look at the Toiteach A Dha. I was going to look at something with the what was it? Yeah, it just reminds me of a combination of the Ardbeg Ugadal and maybe a Talisker 10. It kind of has that nice combination. Now I wish I had some Talisker 10 so I could mix it with this to see if I could get it to taste like that, but even better maybe because you got a 10-year in Ugadal with that high ABV. You'd have a super powerful version of the Toiteach A Dha. That'd be pretty cool, actually. That's not a bad try. If anyone has out there, try taking a trying to think of the parts. Probably 50-50. I'd take 50% of the Ardbeg Ugadal and 50% Talisker 10. Combine that and let me know if it makes sense or if it's just completely bizarre. Because I think that you get something close to what I'm having with this, and maybe even better because of the two caliber, nice whiskeys. Talisker 10 is so great. It's at least a 4.5 by itself, even being a 10-year-old. The 18 is really good too, but it's hard to mess with that power of that 10 and that taste. Oh, so good. Well, so much of all, everybody. I know I've kept you guys up late. I got to work tomorrow too, unfortunately. It is teleworking at least, though. I don't have to get up super duper early and drive for an hour and a half. It does make a huge difference, but still have to be somewhat good. Thanks for hanging out. Give me a thumbs up if you don't mind, if you had fun before you leave. I appreciate it. If you are not a subscriber, it'd be cool if you did. Click on the bell, get notified when we do live streams. Usually live streams are like, Thursday, 11 o'clock. And try to sneak some in on the side, but not the easiest thing to do with scheduling sometime. But do what we can. Hope you guys had fun, and I will see you hopefully very soon. We're gonna look at well, you know what? Before we go, I was thinking about talking about a list. Now, let me get my list real fast. 1 second. I'm having I'm kind of going, distillery to distillery, trying to collect them all, and I thought it'd be really impressive if I had a collection of at least one from every distillery that's that's available. And I try to get at least a 15, if not an 18-year-old. I think it's a kind of a sweet spot for me. If the affordability wise, I can't go 21 and 25 for everything. It would be astronomically high. But I'm kind of getting towards the tail end here of some of these whiskeys. I'm like, wow. And some of these are, not so well known, not not maybe the easiest ones to really find either. I'm down to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 7 I can get at my local store. And a couple of them I'm trying to get the Game of Thrones version if I can get my hands on it. It's one of those where it's like, maybe the Royal Bracla being one of them. I'm sorry, not the Royal Bracla, but the Royal Lochnagar. Lochnagar being one of them, and the what was it? The Clynelish being the other one. Clynelish 14 is kind of the go-to, easy to get, or Distiller's Edition is another option where I might be able to find that. And hey, good to see you, Juan. I'm glad you stopped by. Hey, Whiskey Ace, good to see you too. Wow, you guys just popped in there last minute there. I was about to shut her off, but I'm glad I stuck around. Jason's right. I have heard that they've re-released some, and they're starting to show up in certain parts of the country. I wasn't sure if that was the case because I didn't see any for quite a while after I heard about that. So I'll have to take another look and see if I can find any. Because that Royal Lochnagar and the Clynelish are the only 2 I'm missing. I have the other 6 bottles, and minus the Glendullan, they're all been. I've drank them all, so there you go. They're all pretty good, actually. The Glendullan is actually fine. It's just you have to be in the mood for like a sulfuric kind of Bennevisy, heavy sulfuric Macallan-esque kind of a dram. But with that said, it's still enjoyable. But anyway, I'm wondering if I should go down the road on some of these, like some of these distilleries I know are decent, like the Blair Athol. Aquavitae is a very big fan of them. I am too. I've had their 12. I like it. The Kinninvie, the one that's extremely expensive, it's used partially as a blend in also Monkey Shoulder. It's like $300 though for like a 125 milliliter bottle of their 20. These are 17 or 23, one of the two. It's very kind of iffy on the price, but the quality is really good. It's reminiscent, I remember, of like a Japanese whiskey. Elisa Bay is a new one that I did like. The Altavania is kind of a tough one. I've had a good one of that. Ardmore, Ulthrosk, Altmore, Balmenich, Benrinus, Brayville, Daftmill, Dalhuane, Dufftown, Fettercairn, Glenbergie, I'm not sure which one it is. Elgin, Glen Ord, Glen Spey, Glen Toiteach, Glen Weavis, I think is how you say it. I'm not sure about that one. The Nakandu probably. Linkwood, Lochnagar, Macduff, Lochnamoor, Milton Duff, Strathmill, and Tomavulin. Those are the ones that I'm missing, and just a few of those distilleries I'm familiar with and I know have decent juice. And I'm like, well, should I seek out all these bottles? I'm talking distillery bottles, not independent bottles. I don't want any independent bottlings. I want distillery bottlings of this because I'm trying to do a collection of distillery offerings. Because I'm kind of a purist when it comes to that. I have nothing against independent bottlings. I've had great versions of things, but I'm trying to, as a collection, just stick with the distillery ones. But I'm wondering now. I'm kind of getting to the point where I know I love cask strength whiskey. I know the quality of the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society is really high. It's up there. I know I would enjoy the bottles I get because I've never had a bad bottle from them, and I've had at least, gosh, 12. I'm trying to think, 12 times. 12, maybe 24 different ones, and all the ones I've ever tasted have all been great. So should I jump ship and just do Scotch Malt Whiskey Society type of offerings for a while and see where that takes me, or should I keep on the journey of the distilleries, even if we're talking like Glen Ord or Linkwood, that I'm not really confident that I'm going to really be into it as much? Should I go and try to, have it? Or, yeah, the Dalloween Flora and Fauna is the one I would probably go for. A lot of these, thankfully, do have Flora and Fauna offerings that are distillery bottles. And that's the first choice. But unfortunately, I think a lot of these are not going to be very impressive, and that's where I'm kind of like, when you're spending, the average of, let's say, $60 to $80 on a bottle, it's like you don't want it to be just kind of The worst case scenario, I could use it for like blends and stuff, which I'm getting better at. And when you have some of these off the wall distilleries that do make good blends, and a good, example of that is one of the Scotch for Dummies we're talking about, their recent Royal Brockla 16-year-old they were having, I think it was. They are pricey, Christopher's right, but it's kind of, it's up there. Jason saying, I wouldn't sell those oddball distilleries short. Dalloween and Toiteach are both excellent, and I've heard good things about both of those. I've had a sample, I think, yes, of Dalloween, and wasn't necessarily bad. Same with Glen Toiteach. It was probably independent bottling, though. That's where it's kind of one of those, the independents are so different than the distilleries sometimes. It's like, what are you really going to get? But I'm just wanting to see what they, present from the distillery before I even do any more of the independent bottling. So I've already had independent bottlings of like Glenkeith and Torrimore, Strotha, Cilia, Glenlossie, which were fine, but I'm interested to see what their distillery versions, had to be independent if it was Glen Talkers. Glen Talkers actually does offer, I believe, and I have it written down here, it's medium difficulty to find. There is a distillery version you can still get of that. Linkwood would definitely be a Flora and Fauna, yes, on that. Gordon McPhil's does the distillery labels version. Yeah. But if they have a Flora and Fauna or a distillery version, I think I'll go with that definitely first before anything else. Even on the Glen Talkers, I had to go back and look and see where I found the distillery version. It probably wasn't cheap. It probably wasn't easy to find, but I did find something. Because if I didn't find it, if it was like one of those inaugural ballot only bottles or independent only, like a Brayville, I think it is. Yeah, Brayville is one that is independent only. I did not ever find the distillery version of the Brayville, but thankfully the Glen Talkers, I think I was able to find one. The Glenwyvis, Glenwyvis, that was a hard independent community ownership type bottling. Uh, Master of Malt was like the only thing I could ever find, and then they stopped shipping to United States, which is really fun. So some of these are going to be really tough. Like Macduff, it's independent only. I'm not sure if I'll ever even find that, but yeah, I know the exclusive malts does everything well, but I'm talking distillery versions. That's my goal, I think, is to focus on the distillery versions and see where I can go and get from there. I guess I'll stick with it, finish what I've started, and after that, maybe go towards the Scotch Malt Whisky Society bottles for a while and focus on those maybe for a bit. Maybe on the side, still do some core offerings on the ones I've never done reviews for and see how much traction that gets, because I'm sure you guys love the basic core stuff too sometimes. So that's the goal. So I think, I think a lot of these, thankfully, are interesting enough to stick with before switching over to something completely different. And it would be a good way to close out the my own personal journey through all these bottles. It's just crazy. But I have no regrets. I mean, it's been fun. I've only had maybe a couple bottles where I was kind of like, but overall, I don't have really any issue, using them. If it was one of those where I wasn't really heavily into it, like the Glencairn 12, it's a great bottle of Scotch, I'm sure, for a lot of people. Just I like the more heavier, intense flavored stuff. So, but the Glencairn 12 was a great base for other things like Mortlock or something else that I wanted to, mix in and try out and see what I can get from it. And so even those that I might get that I might not be completely into, after I do a review of it and try it out and see how it goes, then it's good for blending and doing experiments. So it's not a complete loss if I don't really love, the the distillery bottle I end up getting. So I guess that's the gist of it. It is for fun and exploring and experimenting, and that's part of it. Well, I guess we'll close out with the Ugadal from 2008. Got really lucky to find an old bottle of it. It's really, really, really good. If you haven't ever tried the Ardbeg Ugadal, and I think one of you guys said that you only had the grooves, if I'm not mistaken, you got to get your hands on the Ugadal, please. It's so good. It's just unbelievable that you haven't tried it yet. Perfectly strong. You set up Patreon. Actually, I do have one as far as an account, but I've never been able to sit down and do exclusive content and really iron out the things, to give extra for Patreons to give to. It's rough because I'm right at that threshold where I'm at about 300 subscribers or so. I'm not high enough to get any help from YouTube. You got to have at least 1,000, I think, to get even super chats, which is kind of crazy. Super chats would be awesome if that was an option for people. I probably would get an average of one or every other show, which would be fine with me, to help out on some of the cost of everything. But I set up an account a long time ago for Patreon. It's just I don't have anything specialized to offer people outside of the normal show. So if you do find my account and want to give, I really appreciate it. I never really pushed it much because I did. I wanted to get my feet wet, get a lot of reviews under my belt, get used to doing this, so I felt like I was giving some sort of value that'd be worthwhile of somebody, helping out and everything. But I have got some really good samples over the last year. I've only been doing it for about a year, and yeah, I'm trying to give a good perspective. I have tried a lot of different Scotch, from peated to sherry to basic light lowlands to very complicated space side slash Campbelltown stuff. I mean, I've been to the islands, and I try to get all over the place. It should be under the Telex the Whisky Tech. So if you go to Patreon and do a search for Telex the Whisky Tech, it should be uh, readily available, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Let me know if you have a problem finding it. Go ahead and take a little search if you don't mind. Let me know if it's not really available. I'll do another check and make sure I didn't miss something going live, because maybe I missed a checkbox or something to trigger it. It just wasn't a very high priority for me at the time, because I wanted to make sure my content was really good and solid before I even went there. So, but I appreciate the no result found. Okay, well, damn, that's crazy. No wonder I've never got any traction from Patreon. Well, after I break off here, if not tonight, I will take a look and flip the switch on and see. And any help, I mean, I really appreciate it, to anyone out there. As you know, these bottles are not cheap, and they yeah, I try. It's not easy. I don't like asking, but if people are willing to contribute, then that's always great. And if you don't, it doesn't have to be money. It could be salsa. I'm a huge salsa fan, and I don't mind returning the favor. You can ask Stephen Connor about that. When if I can find something that you don't have that you might be interested in, sometimes it's hard. Some people have a lot of good stuff, and it's hard to find stuff they haven't had before. But I try to go out of my way to find something that might be at least interesting to you. I'm not sure if Steve is still there. Steve and Connor, if you're still there, have you ever got a chance to? I think you like the Anak 24 I sent. That was a really good one. I thought it was pretty well done. I think he had enjoyed it, from what I remember, just chatting on the side. But we've done some salsa on the side, and it's been really fun. That's always an option too. If it doesn't always have to be just straightforward, funds, but whatever it is, I'm very appreciative. It definitely helps out, because as you can see, it's not been cheap. That's for sure. I'm just lucky that I do have a decent job where I can go and get some things here and there. But yeah, when you're by yourself, you don't have three others or two others or either one other to really help you out. It's a very rough voyage sometimes to. At least, especially when I'm doing 2 a week, I try to get 2 new ones to you guys a week when I get a chance. So I'm so happy that Bunnahabhain got the Toiteach A Dha, better than the original. Yeah, I agree, Christopher. I gotta get to bed too. Thanks, Whiskey Ace. I have on the side. I have chatted a little bit with I Whiskey She Wines, another kind of a group, a guy, and I think his wife. I never met them before. I just kind of ran into their channel by just luck. And they're from Covington, Kentucky, where my mom's from originally. And I thought that'd be kind of a cool, maybe, some people do a live show with. So I just wrote them a little message saying, hey, maybe we should do a live sometime. And they were receptive to it. So I'll have to send them a message and maybe do a test live or a test connection just to see, if it works well. And yeah, they've been in a bunch of live shows recently on their own. And I thought this would be like a good, maybe, kind of a test just to see if it works out well. I've also talked to Rabbit and Red. Rabbit and Red is a local guy, DC even, and he does reviews on the side. And we've always kind of had a good back and forth, just chat. Nice guy, and I might try maybe a live with him too on the side. There's Steven. Did you like that Enoch 24? I think you did, if I'm not mistaken. If you had a chance to open it up, yeah, I'm not sure if you ever did. I completely understand if you never have, but yeah, Rabbit's a cool dude, so he'd be kind of fun to maybe get on a show. So I'm gonna try to maybe do a live with somebody else by next week. That's a goal I have. Hopefully, I'll have time to make it happen. But worst case scenario, we'll have a good time. I jumped on his sub 100 live stream. Yeah, it's a shame I missed that one. I didn't know he was doing that well already. He really got to 100 really fast, which is great for him. It's not easy to do when you don't have any backing. You're not like getting props or paid or support by a distillery or an ambassador or any of that. I've kind of shied away from that from the beginning because I wanted to make sure my reviews were not influenced by anything. They were just the way I felt about it. Some people like it, some people don't, but it's just the way it is, and I'm happy it's that way. I'd rather get support from the people than be persuaded by some sort of group or whatever. But I definitely let it be known the ones that I really like. Steven says, I did like it. I'm pretty excited about something I had last night. A sample of the 85 Maritime 27 cast strength. What the what? Hold on here. Talisker 85, a Maritime 27-year-old. Wow. Is that a distillery bottling? It sounds like it is. I bet that's damn good, man. 27 years and cast strength? That's unheard of. The closest thing I've ever heard of that was an Old Pulteney that had a year on it. It was like a 19. I wonder if they still have that. This one place I usually go to had an old bottle of Old Pulteney sitting there that was like a 1989, I want to say. They probably sold it because it was actually pretty reasonably priced, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if they still have it. I'm just curious. Old Pulteney. Oh, where are you? There you are. They must have sold it. Damn. I knew I should have bought that. It was like $250, $275. I can't remember the final price on it. It was an Old Pulteney 1989, but the thing about it though is I don't think it was cast strength. Come to think of it. So, appreciate that. Yeah, it tastes like liquid smoke. Yeah, I bet it did. If cast strength Talisker, it was incredible. I've been searching for older cast strength Taliskers. The one I mentioned came from 2013 and is limited to 3,000 bottles. Well, the good thing about 3,000 is that's a really good number where it's still somewhat easily obtainable, I would think. Or if you're talking 300, now that would make it really rough. But 3,000 is a good set. You could probably still find it if you can afford it. Now, I'm afraid to ask Steven what the price is on that 27-year cast strength 85 Talisker. I'm thinking minimum $500, if not $600. That's a complete guess, though. I'm probably way off. I'm just thinking about what I would probably pay, maybe, if I had the money to shell out for that type of caliber of dram. I mean, I'd be happy with a regular 25. I'm not even thinking about a 27 cast strength. Jesus. I gotta drink to that. Oh, man. That sounds good, though. Yeah, Talisker is one of those distilleries that I've never had a bad dram from. The only one that was iffy, I love that 57 degrees north, too, by the way. The Port Ree, the Ruighe, it's a Travel Retail exclusive, Port Ree Talisker. The only thing I did not get from it was a really nicely done finish. The finish was really non-existent. Everything else, though, was well done. The nose and palate were pretty spot on, phenomenal. Just didn't get much of a finish out of it. Steven says the whiskey, it was smoky, very briny, that had an incredible and unusual mouthfeel, very velvety, almost whipped feel. Huh. That sounds good, like a heavy, medium mouth coat. Dewar's 32 for 149. No thanks, man. I mean, no offense to Dewar's. I like Dewar's for a blend. If I'm just going, when I was out, just a good example at a friend's, I should say a relative's wedding, a distant relative on my wife's side. In New York, they had this nice spread of lots of different offerings of beer and different mixed drinks and cocktails and liquor and whatever. And the scotch they had was Dewar's. It wasn't a 32, but it was good for sipping. I couldn't imagine drinking a blended scotch at 32 years. That's just crazy. Secondary was 675 shipped. Wow. That is pricey, my friend. But not saying it's not worth it, because man, if I could afford a 27-year-old cast strength, I would heavily consider that price. Maybe it seems a little on the higher end. 650 to 600 might be better, but it probably doesn't exist at cast strength. I'm sure that's the draw. Whiskey says that he heard it was good and posting Dewar's 21 vid soon. Okay. Huh. Not laughing at you. Yeah, you can't laugh at Steven is unlaughable. He's in his own realm. He's like it's like, the Scotch for Dummies have KB. I've got Stephen Connor. that's the that he's in that kind of realm. You can't laugh at Steve. That's funny though. Yeah, 21-year-olds Dewar's would be pretty good. I bet that'd be tasty. If I'm on a plane, that's my go-to. No Johnny Walker Red. I'm sorry, I can't do it. It's just not my thing. Never been big on the J&B. Never been big on the other. Chivas Regal is okay, I guess. But if I had to pick a blend, I'm saying Dewar's is probably one of my favorites. Bell's isn't bad, but Bell's is kind of one of those that you just kind of get a bottle of and have in the shelf for mixing stuff. Love to do a penicillin with a little bit of Bell's and maybe a little bit of Laphroaig 10. That'd be kind of a good test of flavor. I was trying to talk my wife into getting some the ingredients to make a penicillin. And she's like, "Do you think I'd like that?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, you love it." And I have no clue. She probably, I don't know. She when we went to the Laphroaig tasting and they were here, she did like the Laphroaig different cocktails they were using to mix at the local speakeasy. They were smoky and nicely done. So I think she would actually still dig it. Penicillin is a mixed drink that was originated by Scotch lovers up in New York. I think it was the Spaniard. When I got to meet, let me unfilter Steven's comment there. When I got to meet John Glazier up in New York when I was hanging out with the Scotch for Dummies, that was the cocktail of choice that he presented. Basically, just do a lookup of it. From memory, it's got some really good. I'm trying to think. It's got some honey, ginger like syrup. It's got a base scotch that it starts with, and it also has a little bit of Isla Scotch at the tail end to give it a little smokiness. It's got some citrus flavor. I remember. I can't remember if it was lemon or lime, but really well done. I enjoyed it. I'm not a mixed drink kind of guy typically. I think he used Peat Monster. Yeah, Peat Monster is typically used for the base. I believe. Well, no, that would be the peated end. What does he use for the? Oh, he used King Street blend for the base. Peat Monster for the tip of the smokiness. You can use you know, any base non-peated Scotch you want, and use a peated version at the very tail end to get that hint of smokiness. But yeah, I mean, play around with it, and I'm sure you'll find something that makes sense to you. But yeah, King Street blend with the peat monster, I think, is the official penicillin uh, recipe if you look it up. But it's definitely worth a look. And Steven attests that it's his favorite cocktail right now. So there you go. I've had an Elijah Craig barrel proof or any barrel proof bourbon. Oh man, barrel proof. I don't think so. I would be worth a look. I'm thinking that the only bourbons I've had recently that I did like were the Midsummer's Night Strams. I've had early acts. I have a recent one I might even review. It's like a newer one. I've done an Act 3, I think, or an Act 2 before. I never did like a review on it, but I enjoyed it. I like rye more than bourbon. I'm not into the Pappy Van Winkles, and I've had 23, 20. I've had like really nice ones, and they just don't do it for me. I don't get into the wheat aspect of it, I guess. I'm not sure what it is. I've never been a big corn fan. I'm from Kentucky. You'd think I would love moonshine, but the corn aspect of it turns me off. If it's rye or malt, then I really get into it. Um, I'll try that Elijah Craig Barrel Proof if I can find it. $70 for bourbon, yeah. Four Roses is way up there. I have had the LESB 2016, I want to say. Very well done. My favorite bourbon so far recently was the Colonel E.H. Taylor Bottle and Bond. I really like that one. That was well done. Probably my top one. If I had to pick something that was, pretty damn good. Oh, sorry, I missed your question earlier. One, what's the light blue containers of Kilhoman? The light blue, I'm assuming you mean is this one, and this is the vintage 2008. Very well done, very unique. You're not going to find this. Well, you might find it, but you're not going to find a taste that's quite like it. I enjoyed it a lot more than 100% Isla, the basic one. It's empty. There you go. Not quite sure what other light blue. I mean, there's a purple one here. That's the Sinag. I'm not sure if you're talking about the Sinag. Oh, you're talking about the Kilkerran. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, the Kilkerran. I thought you said Kilhoman. The The first one, of course, is the standard 12, which everyone can see. It's great. It's one of the best bottles. Even Aquavite is a very big fan of the standard 12. Then I have the 8 cast strength. Very well done. It's for people that don't mind playing with their whiskey. If you're more the guy that just wants to pour it, enjoy sip, you don't want to take your time, the 12 is for you. If you want a little bit more of a playing field, a little more strength, same kind of character, get the 8 cast strength, get you a little bit of water, and play around with the taste. Now you've got there's 2. One is a bourbon wood, which is the work in progress series. That first, like, kind of, I would call it like a greenish blue. That's the bourbon wood. Then they have the sherry wood, another works in progress. And I believe, if I remember correctly, because I had this big back and forth with the Hoagie Bear, friend from Germany. Salute to him, by the way. I think we found out it was a 9-year. Don't quote me. But originally I thought it was a 7. I think it ended up being either a 9 or 11-year. It's very close. It's very well done. I prefer the sherry wood probably. But I did enjoy the bourbon wood too. I like them both. All 4 bottles are very collectible. I, none of them are off-putting and none of them are bad. You can't go wrong with any of those offerings, I'd say. I think you guys are talking about the bourbon too, though. Oh, he's got 5 or 6 of each. Yeah, those are excellent. Um, I just got them at the time. Thankfully, I did get them when I had a chance because they don't even carry those anymore where I'm locally. I got lucky to find them locally, but you could probably still order them online, I imagine. Um, but the bourbons are a whole different story. Oh, you're talking about the bourbons, yeah. Yeah, I had to try to find some of that barrel proof stuff. That sounds intriguing. Just a try because I'm not usually a big bourbon fan, but the Before Roses stuff, the LASB, I think an OESB too. At some point, I think I had two different versions, and they were both good, just different tastes. Thankfully, the Four Roses are very different on every single type of batch offering they do. So it's kind of one of those deals. And yeah, small batch select, and they have a small barrel, I think, and they have lots of different choices. Willet's another good one I've had before. The antique I thought was well done. That was pretty good. Haven't had a lot of Willet though. Going by memory, Old Bardstown was a good one. You don't see that one. It has that Booker-esque kind of writing on it. It's vintage Bardstown. It's hard to find. I got lucky. I found it from my stepfather, not stepfather, my father-in-law before he passed away. I found a bottle of this really old vintage Bardstown bottle that really looked a lot like a Booker's bottle before they were popular, and it was like half the price of a Pappy, but just as good. So it's easy to find good bourbon to me because I'm just grew up with it. But it's a whole different story when it comes to Scotch because it's a different country. If I could swap Kentucky for Scotland as far as like the type of liquid, I would do it in a heartbeat. No offense to the bourbon fans, but Scotch is so much more complex, so much more options. Just I don't know. It's just and I don't get that corn, that I get from the bourbon. That I want that malty slash rye even taste. That's where it's at. Well, I better run, guys. I know I've said this like 4 times, but I got to go to work. I've got to get up early. I don't have to go into work, but I do have to work tomorrow. So I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully soon. Maybe hopefully sooner before next Thursday. You never know. But yeah, with you on Scotch, I hear you there. Steven as well. I'm sure he's on board. Whiskey Ace is asking if he's in with the Scotch. Test dummies are from Kansas as well. Yes, Wichita. I gotta get out there sometime. It'd be fun to meet those guys. I've met the Scotch for Dummies a couple times already. Had a great time. Met a couple people, some of their fans. Never got to hang out with the Scotch test dummies yet, and that would be a really fun meeting. I gotta set something up with Scott at some point. Bart might be a little tougher because I know he's got a really crazy schedule, but at least if I could hang out with Scott just for like a day or two, that would be worth the trip in itself. If I get my ass out to Wichita someday, they do seem like fun guys. I always have a good time with them. They both have good palates, both entertaining, both would be fun to do a show with. So yeah, I wish I got to see the that Oktoberfest meeting they had. He he invited me, but I just couldn't. I was already going to New York to hang out with the Scotch for Dummies. I already had it planned out, so it's really hard to do both at the same time. But I am going to try to see what I can do as far as maybe even just hooking up for like a one-off show or something if I can get a place to go out there at some point. It's tough though when you have young family and still kids in school and stuff. And I'm sure that I think Scott's the same way. But we'll hopefully work something out. Well, Sancho, guys, and see you soon.